I've said this before when I wasn't the interested party. Uh, Anonymous ethics complaints of people who have had no professional dealings with the lawyer against whom they are filing an ethics complaint, that is disingenuous, malicious exploitation of the licensure process. It in and of itself is unethical. When there was a lawyer, I won't name names even though it's public, who filed an ethics complaint against Keith Wilson for tweets that he made during the convoy while representing clients. No professional dealings. I appreciate everyone thinks, snitch on your neighbors because we've all been told that we are now, we're now the government's unelected police. Everyone loves it. Nothing worse than giving small people big powers. I appreciate some people think like that. But filing ethics complaints against people you've never had any professional dealings with, especially when the conduct is not in the context of anything remotely related to the individual's medical practice or legal practice, it's atrocious. Did I not put the tweet up? So that's what's happened to me. Some anonymous ethics complaints comes in, and let me just show you. No, we don't want. It's related to Trudeau. You may be aware of the fact that recently, the news of Canada's euthanasia laws and euthanasia consequences. They call it medical assistance in dying. It's sort of like an acronym for euthanasia. It's been in the news a lot lately because a lot of people were not aware of the law, how the law has been expanded, and how the law has been implemented, resulting in a situation which should shock the conscience of everyone. I'll preface this again by saying what I said every other time I discuss this. I support an individual's right to dignity in passing. Terminally ill, pain and anguish, full awareness of fact and law, of sound mind to make the ultimate decision. I believe in dignity in death. And I say this as someone who has had loved ones terminally ill. Like my father-in-law passed away from cancer. He was, I say, fortunate in that he spent 2 days in a hospital. For a year, he had cancer and was, in retrospect, such, I want to say trooper, but that feels juvenile. No one knew the degree of suffering that he was in physically. He went to work until the week he died. And then one night, it was off a cliff. He did not spend time suffering in hospital with, terminal pancreatic cancer, permanent anguish, nothing you can do to resolve it. I am sympathetic to and support an individual's right to choose to die with dignity as the last resort, terminal illness, anguish, of sound mind to make that decision. That's not what's happening by all accounts in Canada. 10,064 medical assisted in dying deaths. 10,064 Canadians euthanized by the Canadian government in 2021 alone. 37% more than 2020. 30% more than 2019. Just parabolic. When was this tweet from? August 21. So it's over a week ago. I'm highlighting also the insanity of the number to whom death is administered in compared to the number of deaths from COVID that in the minds of the government warranted shutting down free society. So I tweeted, PM Justin Trudeau, shut down Canada. Shut down Canada, objectively true. Destroyed our economy, objectively true. Isolated our children, objectively true. Desecrated our Charter of Rights. Okay, that might be opinion. That I'll argue is objectively true. Forced an experimental drug on us because NIH, this is not my words, referred to it as an experimental vaccine, and I think those words are still on the website. For 40,000 alleged COVID deaths. And I put alleged in brackets because only recently Dina Hinshaw, Kieran Moore, Canadian doctors come out and say, yeah, we really should be distinguishing between deaths from COVID versus deaths with COVID. Because they made the mistake once with a 14-year-old boy. They've made the mistake elsewhere. So I say alleged. I'm not saying this has all been a totally fabricated, lies through and through, just alleged, because undoubtedly some of those were deaths with COVID, not deaths from COVID. All of this shut down the country, over 40,000 deaths. At the same time, he euthanized over 10,000 Canadians in 2021 alone. Hashtag Trudeau the killer. Well, apparently someone read this tweet and thought either they didn't know that it was factually true. So in their mind, they say, Viva's spreading false information. That number's wrong. Wrong. That number's right. So they either read it, thought it was factually incorrect, thus warranting of an ethics complaint, even though it's posted on my my personal Twitter feed in my name, not purporting to be in the practice of any practice and not purporting to be in the context of any file. They either thought the statistic was wrong or hear me out, I'll steelman it for them, or they take issue with the phrasing and that Justin Trudeau did not euthanize any Canadians, as if that's what anybody could think was meant by this, that Justin Trudeau went around Canada and personally, single-handedly, with his own hands, euthanized 10,000 Canadians. So they either don't know the number or they think it's factually incorrect because Justin Trudeau didn't do it. It was his policy and the system that did it. Okay. Some might say that's a distinction without a difference. Some might say, I won't get into any hyperbolic comparisons, but leaders who are held to account very infrequently actually carried out the act themselves. That responsibility when it comes to being a politician is through the policy that government and that politician has enacted. That which occurs under the laws enacted by a government are the direct responsibility of that government. The buck stops with the prime minister. So some might still say, even that statement as formulated is factually correct in that it's his policy, it's his action, he bears the direct responsibility for it. But let's just say he didn't do it by his own hands and someone might misread that. So I clarified. Following an ethics complaint, I'll clarify my tweet below. I wasn't accusing Justin Trudeau of having personally euthanized over 10,000 Canadians in 2021. At 1 hour a life, and by the way, let this sink in, at 1 hour a life, that would have taken over a year. There's 8,700 and however many hours in a year. At 1 hour a life, that would have taken over a year. So it's actually just physically impossible if anyone were so inclined to disingenuously interpret the tweet that way. I was stating through his policy, he euthanized 10,000 Canadians, and it's true. Now, in fairness, by the way, I didn't have enough room. The calculation of 1 hour a life, that would be if it was 1 hour a day, every day, no sleep, no eat, no nothing, it would take over a year. For a work week, 40 hours, it would, if one were to do it single-handedly, it would take multiple years. And by the way, here's just an article from National Review. 10,000 plus Canadian euthanasia killings in 2021. I'll click on that, and then I'm going to read it in a second. So this is, someone tweets something, someone doesn't like it, and they file an anonymous complaint with the Bar Society to go after the license. And as if anybody could read that literally, and it illustrates the further point that one individual could not do that by their own hand. It requires a machine. I'm reading some of the chats, which I'm not going to bring up. So that was my fun of the day, but I want to get into that article. Let me just read. So, but this is how the war is fought. People don't like what you have to say. I would, if I were a Barnesy type lawyer in my practice of law, if I were not too, I'm not sure what I would do actually in the practice of law anymore. But, some lawyers would actually make statements like that in the practice of law and then say, yeah, let's debate. Let's go ahead and debate. When someone says Justin Trudeau euthanized 10,000 people in a year, does he mean Justin Trudeau did it personally and therefore it's an ethics complaint? Or is it actually factually correct and everyone should be outraged, not at the person tweeting it, but at the fact that it's occurring? Let's read this article, by the way, because it's the article is pretty shocking here. Let me see here. This one, is this it? Yeah. 10,000 plus Canadian euthanasia killings. I didn't even use the word killing because this, keep it mildly toned down. Oh no, I did. Justin the Killer, sorry. Killings in 2021. This is from the National Review. The National Review referring to it as euthanasia killings. Canada has gone all in for euthanasia, and it's going to get worse now that the, quote, strict guidelines to protect against abuse in the movement's parlance have expanded to people with chronic and disabling conditions and has expanded. It already has and will expand to those with dementia and mental illness. Oh, but get mad at the tweet. Don't get mad at reality. The statistics are startling and illustrate that once euthanasia consciousness infects a culture, it grows like a fungus. And then we got the comparisons. 2021, 10,064. Up from 7,600 in 2020, 5,600 in 2019, 4,400 in 2018, 2,300 in 2017, and 1,018 in 2016. By the way, look at this. Represents 3.3% of all deaths in Canada. Look at this, people. When all data sources are considered, the total number of MAID reported assisted deaths in Canada from legalization to December 31, 31,000 people. Oh, by the way, so it started up from 1,018 in 2016. Who knows, if we're just taking a mild gander of a guess here, who knows when Justin Trudeau was elected? I know that it's 2015. He's been the Prime Minister of Canada since 2015. So since 2016, under the tutelage of the Justin Trudeau government, medical assistance in dying has euthanized 30,000 Canadians. Exponentially, I might add, exponential increase, year over year over year, set to exponentially increase even more because of what's being included in it. They're lifting the restrictions on the ultimate decision, the ultimate sanction. Hold on a second. I'm going to cough just so I don't do this into the mic. Let's just see if there's anything more in there. That's a huge number. Oh yeah, no. Okay, we got that. A few more thoughts. Listen to this. Some of the people might still be alive today had they received sustained suicide prevention treatment. But that essential service is not usually offered to people asking for euthanasia. We're still in the context of people asking for euthanasia, not in the context of where it's being pressured onto the most vulnerable people of society. The abdication of compassion is a profound abandonment of despairing ill. Only 15% of Canadians have access to quality palliative care. Imagine if the government invested in providing reasonable palliative care, quality palliative care, pain management, psychological assistance. Imagine if they invested in that. But no, because as another report that I pulled up showed, not only does this not cost the government more to euthanize Canadians, there stands to be substantial savings for the government. Why wouldn't they then shockingly promote something that's going to save them lots and lots of money? It'll help the budget balance itself. Instead of fixing the system so that the sick and the psychologically despaired can get the help they need to go on with, the most important thing of life itself. No. Let's recommend MAIDs. The acronym is just beautiful. Let's recommend medical assistance in dying as a treatment on par with all other treatments. In Ontario, doctors have no conscience rights. They must either kill qualified patients who ask to die or find a doctor they know will do the deed, known as euphemism, so typical of the movement as an effective referral. Wow. That's actually news to me. Some people were euthanized out of fear of loneliness caused by COVID lockdowns. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Anonymous ethics complainer. You want to get mad at me for my tweet and not get mad at this? Oh, no, but it's not. Justin Trudeau didn't go around with needling 10,000 people. He just enacted policy, implemented it such that not only was it being offered as dying with dignity for the terminally ill with immeasurable pain and suffering. No. Loneliness caused by COVID. We heard the stories. In one case, a woman asked to die because of the isolation she would face. Ironically, her family was allowed to attend her death, but not visit as a means of helping her continue on. We read about that story. Moreover, hundreds of people chose death, at least in part due to fear of loneliness in 2019, a trend that has continued. Canada conjoins euthanasia and organ harvest. I didn't even know. Wow. That sounds like the corruption we see in other things that are supposed to remain safe, legal, and rare. Amazing. I'm actually getting angrier than I was before. Beginning in 2023, the mentally ill will be eligible for euthanasia. And here's the shocking truth. Nearly 4 million Americans die each year. If the same percentage of people were killed by a doctor here as are now in Canada, it would amount to a mere more than 120,000 euthanasia killings per year. And even more with yada yada. We had better pay close attention to Canada because the same culture of death pathogen, I like that. This guy's been reading Gad Sad, is coursing through our national veins, albeit our resistance is stronger. I agree. But once a society falls into the cultural abyss, it is very difficult to climb back out. A double financial incentive. You'll save money and you can make money. Here, everyone, you can go read that article. So yeah, that's what I had to do this morning. Look up the lady in Ontario who got MAID for allergies. Dude, I'm not going to hold on. Let's do this right now. Let's do this right now because if it's true, MAID Ontario allergies euthanized. So yeah, just in case anyone's out there that thought that I was suggesting that Justin Trudeau went around and single-handedly, personally, with his own hand, euthanized 10,000 Canadians, I would suggest that you might need to take some logic courses and reading courses. But no, it's just directly Justin Trudeau's policy, exponential increase year over year since Justin Trudeau took office, and now just the balance of budget itself when there's no one to govern. Hyperbole, people, don't take that literally. Woman with chemical sensitivities, shut the front door, Chet.